I have been writing books fast from day one. In 2014, when I wrote my first book, it was almost 8,000 words in 11 days. And that book has brought healing, and it was the foundation for the business that I have today.
Hi, I'm Henika Watkis Porter, speaker, coach, author of Podcast Power, inviting you to listen to the Authorpreneur Secrets podcast, brought to you by C. Ruth Taylor, best-selling indie author and the Caribbean's most trusted voice on entrepreneurship. Get ready to dominate entrepreneurship.
It's episode 207 of the Authorpreneur Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Dr. C. Ruth Taylor, still getting used to saying that. And in today's show, I will be beginning the process of disseminating more information about my dissertation. And of course, it's related to authorpreneurship. So if you're not new around here, some of the things will not be new, all right? But one of the future steps that I talked about in my study was that I will be sharing the findings on the podcast at the summit. And I'm going to do it in an interesting way because I found Google Notebook LM was instrumental in helping me to prepare my presentation, the slide deck, and in helping me to understand more of my own work. So I fed it, for example, chapter 5 or chapter 4 with the findings, and it was able to produce an audio podcast per se. So now I have some new podcast host with me for the next couple of months before we take the break. So I am going to take a break towards the end of May. And I'll have these co-presenters as I drip out the content. So last week when I shared a video of the findings or audio because it was audio only. And there's much to share in terms of my entrepreneurship ventures. It has been a busy time. And on the day when I'm recording this on Saturday, March 21, I just finished a presentation at my school, Bakke Graduate University, at the Network Up community that is hosted by the EMBA, Executive MBA program, where I was sharing my findings and they were celebrating my accomplishment and giving us tips, preparing us, for the mindset to raise funds, which demands confidence and resilience. And if there is one thing this process has taught me, this 12-year journey is about being resilient. And that's one of the big lessons I learned. And so today I'm going to have a co-host to foreign co-host as part of my literature review because I went to a private Christian university. One of the things as part of our research, we have to show biblical and theological themes and principles related to what we are doing. And one of the scriptures that has become foundational to me doing business is 2 Kings 4 with Elisha and the widow as it relates to poverty alleviation and using business as a platform for good and as a tool to advance God's kingdom. So you're going to hear about an interesting perspective about the widow's oil business and lessons we can learn from that. So stay tuned.
Your book is the perfect spark to get the fire going in your personal life, career, business, or ministry. Light that book spark today.
All right. So, what's the latest in terms of my entrepreneurship ventures? I told you that I met with the Network Up community on Saturday, March 21, to do a presentation on my dissertation study, and I introduced to them my upcoming book, From Calling to Completion. I read the poem Tetelestai, which was just so fitting as we heard about the journeys of raising millions and billions of US dollars and what it takes. So that was one avenue. So books open doors. Special thanks to Dr. Scholastica Olagonju for making that possible. She's the head of the Executive MBA program. And you can go to bgu.edu to find out more about the programs at Baki Graduate University. So, since this is video today, from calling to completion, this is what the cover looks like. I'm going with brown. And so it has, you will see on it a graduation hat and books because, my dissertation was book based and I haven't graduated yet, so I can't put myself on the cover. And it's going to come out early because I'm having a Triple Treasure celebration, celebrating my birthday on May 9, launching this book and celebrating the doctorate. And that's going to be at the Fairview Open Bible Church. And then along with that, I'm having a special from calling to completion. If you purchase 12 of these books, 12 representing the 12 years that I have been studying, then I'm going to offer you a free authorpreneurship boot camp that would otherwise cost a lot of money. So you'll get the 12 signed copies. These are print copies, and then an exclusive 3-hour authorpreneurship bootcamp where I will share my authorpreneurship blueprint and help you to put a plan together to launch a business with your book. And if you have no book, I can help you in that session to create a book that can become a powerful business or ministry card. So if you can't afford 12, you can go for the 2-for-1 bundle. And all you have to do is go to extramileja.com/calling to completion. Extramileja is my author site. And I compiled the Authorpreneur Secrets blueprint, and you can go to authorpreneursecrets.com to sign up for it. Let me show you that as well. So if you go to authorpreneursecrets.com/blueprint, this is what you will see: a research-based model for turning books into businesses. All right, and you'll see the different offerings that I have there as well. And you can download it for free, right? Or if you just go to the home, authorpreneursecrets.com, right there on the home page, in the header, Dominating Authorpreneurship, you can get the free Authorpreneur Secrets blueprint. That's a slide deck that introduces you to the blueprint, but I also am working on a book to go with it for training where I share my dissertation findings. So I'm converting the dissertation to a book, but that book, I think I'm going to try something different. I'm not going to put it on Amazon. I'm going to sell it direct, exclusively from me through my website or through the training programs. So I'm going to take a different approach, and I'm thinking of publishing it with Book Vault. So to pique your interest, get the Authorpreneur Secrets Blueprint to discover how you can turn your book into a transformational program or a business card so that you can earn more income faster than just depending on book sales. All right, so that's one. And then I tell you that books open doors with women in business. So moment of hope. By the time you're hearing this or viewing this, that interview would have been aired. So I was asked by the host to share my story of being in business and about entrepreneurship on of Hope. It's a broadcast hosted by the Missionary Church Association in Jamaica on Love 101 radio. I think it's 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday. So I was featured in that. And then the previous Sunday, I preached at my church and shared the wonderful news of the completion, read a poem from Calling to Completion, the first poem in the book, and had a tremendous time of worship. You know, all my life, God has been faithful. All my life, He has been so good to me. So I give God thanks for that. What else? So the Sunday now, Sunday, March 2022, I was sharing from my book, Design to Win Roadmap, Young Achievers Roadmap. I was doing a presentation on giftedness. I'm doing at least 2 sessions with the youth group, discovering your gifts and purpose. Then we're going to look at giftedness, calling, and career. And at BGU, I did a program on giftedness, that's discovering your divine design. What did God place you on earth to do? What are the activities that you enjoy doing? And what are the gifts you see in action, and how can that help you to choose the best career? And so I'm a giftedness guide and a career coach. I got my career coaching certificate in 2017, and it was with the intention of doing things like this to work with youth. And I am excited about that. And that was done online on Zoom. And so doors are opening up, you know. I haven't been able to use Design to Win Young Achievers Roadmap with any young people group since publishing it, and it was my desire because it was produced out of a mentoring program with young people, teaching them how to publish. In fact, the cover design, the images, it was formatted by young people in high school. And I took them through the Design to Win process. We had a Design to Win mentoring group. And so that was, you know, something else. So a lot happening. In terms of Bamboo Sparks, we are having a book publishing tour. So let me show you our gorgeous flyer, thanks to Natalia Downer. So this is one of them. So that's our publishing tour starting in April 5, the first Sunday in April. We're going to a church in Spanish Town, Bethel, I think, Deliverance Center. Our CFO is pastor at that church, and they're going to pray for us, and we are going to share on publishing. So this, normally people have book tour, but we're having a publishing tour where we are making publishing live. So all the services that we do online, we are bringing them to you. So if you want to write a book, get a free publishing consultation, you can come. If you are looking for a cover designer, editor, formatter, you can come and link us, because we have a publishing marketplace where we feature all of those. And a workshop on how to publish a book. If you want to turn sermons to a book, if you want to get your testimony, your story of overcoming, something featured in our Pages of Hope testimonial notebook and journal, you can meet with us. We capture that. We can show you how to publish manuscripts in 24 hours. Now, I was listening to the self-publishing show, and I kind of felt a little way when James was talking about people who produce books fast, and, you know, how they're using AI to flood the Amazon store and decreasing visibility. And I was like, we seem to be of the opinion that if something is produced fast, that it is not valuable. I have been writing books fast from day one. In 2014, when I wrote my first book, it was almost 8,000 words in 11 days. And that book has brought healing and it was the foundation for the business that I have today. And so NaNoWriMo, usually in 30 days, people are aiming towards 50,000 words for their books. I wrote more than that in 11 days. In 2018 to 2019, November 2018 to 2019, I wrote 20 books in a year without AI. This book, Authorpreneur Secrets, that has helped so many, given birth to a business, has helped to sustain me, has led to business that employs so many persons. I wrote the original version of this in 3 days. Don't tell me that fast is ineffective. And there are people writing fast without AI, and that's me. And I've gotten to the stage where I can publish a book in a day. Because one, I'm writing from experience built up. I'm what, 45 years old? Experience built up over 20, 30 years. Things that I teach on. You're telling your own story. I'm teaching processes and procedures. I'm writing inspirational materials. I'm producing small books. You don't need 2 years necessarily to write a 15,000 word book or a 25,000 word book or even a 50,000 word book. I remember when I put on the Authorpreneurship boot camp and hosted my first rocket writing thing. In less than 6 hours, I had an author share her story and we captured 17,000 words. So fast does not mean ineffective or inferior quality. I am in agreement with them, though, that something needs to be done for persons who are just using AI loosely to produce books and flood the market with inferior quality books. But the abuse of something does not mean that it is of no good, right? So I've been a rocket writer without AI. I started using AI, I think, 2025 to edit and stuff like that. And it has helped me to go even faster. But I feed it information. It's how you use it. And I know the whole community is in uproar. I saw the thing about France not allowing Amazon to do something or pulling out of something. So the community is divided because of AI. I know there are dangers, but I'm still AI positive, and it is helping my authors on this side of the world. So one of his recommendations was that, to reduce the glut on the market, authors, Amazon perhaps should charge authors to upload maybe even $300. And I'm like, say what? Many of my authors, that would shut down many of my authors from Jamaica and other developing countries from publishing here. $300. Some of us go on Fiverr. We get the book, we get the formatting done, and we do our cover design. And these days, yes, the AI can help us with our cover design. So the opportunity created by Amazon that Caribbean authors and others in developing countries can publish without paying. I am so grateful for Amazon. I mean, Ingram Spark used to charge $49 per upload, and that was a deterrent. And so we aren't paying $300 for cover unless it is custom made and we are drawing something. That $300 can get us formatting and editing because I show people how to produce books cost effectively and it doesn't diminish the quality. But I understand the idea, something, but that if Amazon were to take his recommendation, that would shut us down. It would then make publishing what it used to be an elitist thing. And I know it's just a suggestion, but folks in first world countries have to remember the economies of other countries and what seem like monkey money for them is a lot of money for us. And so I love James, I love the self-publishing show, but Amazon, if you're going to do something, you're going to add something, don't make it that expensive. Don't go beyond the $50 $49 that Ingram Spark was charging. And they did away with their upload fee. I beg you, because at the end of the day, it's still not free. Amazon is taking a percentage of the proceeds from the sales. And trust me, that would cost, because one of the things we use Amazon for is not for visibility for our books, it's for distribution. And many of us, we use KDP just to print because we make more money by selling our books directly. So Amazon affords us the affordable printing. And so the $300 to upload, if that were to, he's just putting a number out there, but that's a high number. It look little bit for them, but that's a big number. It would really be a dent, a spokes in our wheel. So Amazon, I beg you, whatever changes you're doing, remember not every author who publishes is trying to sell a ton load of books. And my entrepreneurship model is about using the book as your business card, using the book for legacy, using the book for platforms to build other things around the book. So if we have to go start, imagine me with 40 books. And I have about 3 or 5 I'm working on to produce. Imagine I have to go find 5 3s, 1,500 to upload the book. Oh my goodness. That's like the publishing fee we're charging in Bamboo Sparks for a small book. Whew. Anyway, that's what is happening around the world. So that's the latest in terms of my entrepreneurship ventures. But let's get into uh, the widow's oil business and how business can become a solution for poverty. And this was one of the key passages and stories in my dissertation. And I hope you like it and learn something from it.
You know, there's this persistent image in our culture,
Yeah.
and I think we really need to talk about it. It's the starving artist.
Ah, right, the classic.
Exactly. You picture this brilliant writer, right, huddled in a cold apartment, typing away at a masterpiece, and, well, barely able to afford coffee, let alone rent.
Yeah, and we've sort of romanticized it, like poverty equals purity or something.
Yes, but if you actually zoom out and look at the economics, especially in, say, developing regions, that whole cliche, it isn't romantic at all. It's a crisis.
It really is. It represents a huge sector of the economy that is just, structurally underperforming.
And that is exactly what we are digging into today. We are flipping the script on the starving artist. We're looking at how to turn that whole fragile existence into a real, serious economic engine.
We're talking about the orange economy.
The creative industries.
Right. And for this deep dive, we found a really fascinating dissertation case study. It's by a researcher named Ruth Taylor.
And the title is Exploring Authorpreneurship as a Viable Model for Sustainable Income Through Microfinancing.
I know it's a mouthful.
It's a bit heavy, yeah. It's got microfinancing and dissertation in the same breath, but I promise you, stick with us.
Because what Taylor's proposing is really a blueprint for survival. And the context here, it's so important. She's focusing on Jamaica, on small island developing states.
The context is everything, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, look at Caribbean economies. They're incredibly vulnerable. So much depends on tourism, which we know can be fragile.
One hurricane, one pandemic.
And the cash flow just stops.
Yeah.
So the mission here is to figure out how writers can move from that financial fragility living, book sale to something sustainable.
To an export-ready income. But to get there, Taylor says we have to define 2 huge concepts right up front. And the first one is the star of our show today.
The authorpreneur.
Versus the author. Okay, let's unpack this. Because authorpreneur, it sounds a little bit like a buzzword you'd see on LinkedIn that makes you roll your eyes.
It does. It really does.
Is there a real difference here, or is it just branding?
No, it's a fundamental shift in the business model. And honestly, it's a shift in identity. Taylor makes this really sharp distinction. An author is someone whose whole identity is, I write books.
Oh.
Their focus is the craft, the story. They see the book as the end product.
Which seems logical. I mean, you write a book, you sell the book, you make money. That's how it's supposed to work.
Logical, but in today's market, it's a mathematical disaster. Taylor has this data in her study that is just, it's sobering. She says the average self-published author, and this is a global stat, not just Jamaica, sells between 300 and 1,000 copies.
Lifetime.
Wait, lifetime. Let's do the quick math on that. So say you really hustle and you sell 1,000 copies. Let's be generous and say you profit maybe, what, $5 or $6 a book?
Maybe.
That's $6,000 total.
Exactly.
You cannot pay a mortgage on that. You can't even buy a used car with that.
Not a chance.
That's not a career. It's a hobby that pays for a nice dinner once a year. And that is the trap. If your identity is just, I am an author, and you're only relying on book royalties, you are structurally trapped in that starving artist cycle.
So to break out, you have to become an authorpreneur.
You have to.
So if the book isn't the product that pays the bills, what is?
It's the ecosystem you build around the book. Taylor lays out two models. The first is what she calls book sales plus.
Okay.
Selling the book, maybe some merch, doing some small readings. It helps a bit, but it doesn't really solve the core problem.
Right.
The second model is where the real disruption happens. She calls it the hybrid model.
A hybrid model?
And in this model, the book is not the product. The book is a billboard, or to use the business term, it's a high credibility lead magnet.
So it's like a business card that's 200 pages long?
Essentially, the book proves you're an authority. It shows you have a solution to a problem. But the real revenue, that comes from the back end.
The ecosystem.
Exactly. Coaching, consulting, speaking gigs, online courses, certification programs.
Ah, I see. So you read the book for $20, you realize the author knows their stuff, and then you pay $2,000 for the coaching program to actually implement what you learn.
That's the one. It's a classic value ladder.
There's a quote in the dissertation from Diggs that sums it up perfectly. He says, to make a 6- or 7-figure salary, you create products based on the books.
Based on the book. So the book is the foundation, not the whole house. But, I have to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
This sounds amazing if you write nonfiction, like How to Fix Your Finances or something. But what if you're a novelist? What if you just want to write stories about dragons? It feels like this model pushes everyone to become some kind of guru.
That's a totally valid point, and she acknowledges that. This model is definitely geared towards authors who are willing to teach or coach or consult in some way.
Right.
But even for fiction writers, the product could be, say, teaching the craft of writing or doing developmental editing for other writers. The point is the money is in the service, not the physical paper. And for the Caribbean context, this is a game changer because of where the customers are, right?
It's geographic arbitrage. That's the economic term.
Okay.
You're selling a physical book from Jamaica, shipping is a nightmare. It just eats your margins. But if you're selling a digital course or a consulting package over Zoom,
you can sell that to someone in London or New York just as easily as in Kingston.
And you're earning USD or pounds while living in an economy with a lower cost of living, you are completely bypassing the limits of the local GDP.
It's a pure export of intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this sounds incredible, but we have to talk about the elephant in the room. You can't just snap your fingers and have a business. You need a website, professional editing, marketing. That all takes capital.
And that brings us to the second pillar of Taylor's research, the money, or the lack of it.
Yeah, the dissertation uses a term that really stuck with me, the unbankable creative.
It's a brutal term, isn't it?
It sounds so personal, like we don't trust you.
But it reflects the reality of traditional banking. I mean, banks are risk-averse. They look at a writer and they ask, where's the collateral?
Right.
They don't see a factory or a fleet of trucks. They see an idea in someone's head. And you can't repossess an idea if the loan goes bad. So the banks just say no.
But the demand for capital, it's there.
Oh, absolutely. Taylor cites this survey from Kingston Creatives Limited. They found that 88% of creative practitioners need capital.
88%.
And they estimated this represents a 1 to 5 billion Jamaican dollar investment opportunity.
Billions. So you have this huge market screaming, take my money, I will pay you interest, just let me start my business. And the banks are just leaving it on the table.
Pretty much. It's a market failure. But this is where her research gets really psychological. She found that access to capital wasn't the only barrier. Even when microfinancing was available, many authors wouldn't take it.
Why? If you're broke and you have a solid plan, why would you turn down the money?
She calls it loan aversion. And it goes right back to that identity issue we talked about.
Huh.
A lot of these writers were they were afraid of debt. They saw all debt as bad debt.
Right. They're thinking like consumers, not like business owners. A consumer thinks debt is a burden. An entrepreneur thinks debt is leverage.
Exactly. It's the difference between consumer debt and productive debt. Borrowing money for a TV is a liability. Borrowing money to print 500 books that you know how to sell, That's fuel.
So it's not just about throwing money at the problem, it's about financial literacy. It's about teaching people how to use that debt.
Which leads us to the unexpected hero of this story, community. Because you can't learn this stuff in a vacuum.
This part was fascinating. So Taylor starts a Facebook group, Indie Authorpreneurs, and she admits in the dissertation that she initially thought it was kind of a flop.
Right. She was just looking at the vanity metrics. It only had about 350 members. Engagement seemed low. In a world of influencers, that looks like failure.
But then she actually did the data analysis, and what did she find?
She found that this quote-unquote quiet group was the actual hub for her entire client acquisition. It was the engine of her success.
Wow.
The members weren't just clicking like, they were buying her services and referring other people.
So that just busts the lone wolf myth right there. This image of the writer alone in a room. Taylor is proving that you cannot be a successful authorpreneur by yourself.
And this connects to the deepest part of her work. She's not just looking at this through an economic lens. She frames the whole thing as a theology of work.
Business as mission. This is where the study goes from spreadsheets to something almost spiritual.
It is. She argues that work is a spiritual discipline, that it's about not burying your talent. But she uses this one specific biblical analogy that I think perfectly explains the model she's proposing.
Which one is that?
It's the story of Elisha and the widow from the book of 2 Kings.
Okay, walk us through this. Because on the surface, that sounds like a Sunday school lesson, but she's using it as a business case study.
She is. So the context, you have a widow. She's in deep debt. Creditors are literally coming to take her sons as slaves.
So it's a desperate, high-stakes economic crisis.
Absolutely. She goes to the prophet Elisha
Yeah.
for help. And you'd expect, a handout, charity. Here's some money, go pay your debts.
Right.
But Elisha doesn't give her money. He asks her a diagnostic question. He says, what do you have in your house?
And her answer is nothing, except a little jar of oil.
Except a jar of oil.
Yeah.
That's the pivot point. That's her asset. It's her intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
Then Elisha tells her to go to her neighbors, her community, and borrow empty vessels. Not just a few, but a lot of them. She pours her oil into the borrowed vessels, and it just multiplies until every single one is full. She sells the oil, pays the debt, and lives on the rest.
I love this analogy when you break it down like that. Elisha didn't solve her poverty for her. He used what I think academics call asset-based community development.
That is the exact term she uses, ABCD. Yeah. Instead of looking at a community and asking, what are you missing? You ask, what do you already have?
The widow had the asset, the oil. She leveraged community resources, the neighbors' vessels, and she had the coaching, the strategy from Elisha.
And Taylor's argument is that this is the model for the authorpreneur. You take what you have, your story, your expertise, you leverage your community to scale it, and you create your own bailout.
That is so powerful. It stops being about, I need a grant or I need a publisher to pick me, and starts being about, how do I scale the oil I already have?
And that scaling part is critical. She doesn't just leave us with a nice story. She proposes a specific strategy for it called ACTS.
The ACTS strategy.
Now, the dissertation focuses more on the concept than the letter-by-letter breakdown, but the mechanism is clear. It's a transformation pipeline. First step, convert a story or a skill into a book.
The book is the vessel.
Right. Then, and this is the key part, you convert the book into a program for recurring revenue. You take the static information in the book and turn it into a dynamic, high-value experience.
And the beauty of this is that it's replicable. She notes that this model is location independent. It's a digital business.
It is. But it does require internet access, payment gateways, and a willingness to learn digital marketing.
Which are real hurdles in the Caribbean. I mean, the digital divide is a serious issue.
It is a serious issue. But Taylor is ambitious. She's looking past the hurdles. She has what she calls a Vision 2030 mission.
I saw this number. It's bold.
She wants to raise up 10,000 Caribbean authorpreneurs by the year 2030.
10,000. Okay, just think about the multiplier effect of that. If you have 10,000 writers, and they aren't just selling $20 books, but they're selling $500 courses or $1,000 consulting packages to international clients.
That is serious foreign currency flowing into the country.
It connects directly to Jamaica's National Development Plan. The government wants to use intellectual property for economic growth.
And usually you think of Jamaican exports. You think of bauxite or tourism, maybe reggae music. Taylor's saying, no, look at the writers. Look at the educators. We can export our knowledge.
It's turning the brain drain into a brain bank. Instead of smart people leaving Jamaica to get paid, they stay in Jamaica and get paid by the world.
Precisely. And for her, this is personal. She mentions in the study that she lived this. She went from financial struggle, I mean, literally not making ends meet, to financial peace using this exact model.
That gives that theology of work part so much more weight. It wasn't just theory for her, it was survival.
And now she's paying it forward. She's building the infrastructure to teach others how to find their own oil.
So we've gone from the lonely writer in the garret to a community-backed, digitally savvy entrepreneur building a whole ecosystem.
That's the journey. It's a complete rebrand of the creative sector.
So if we pull back to the big picture here, what is the one thing you want our listener to take away from Ruth Taylor's work? Especially if they aren't a writer. Maybe they're a coder or a baker.
For me, it has to be the lesson of the widow's oil applied to the modern economy. We're so conditioned to look outside for solutions.
Right.
We wait for the bank loan, the government grant, the lucky break. But Taylor is saying, look at what is already in your hand. You have intellectual property. You have skills. The problem usually isn't a lack of resources, it's a lack of structure. You haven't built the vessels to catch the value.
That's such a strong point. The oil was useless until there were vessels to put it in. Your skill is useless until there's a business model to capture its value.
Exactly.
And that leads me to a final thought I want to leave with you listening right now. We talked about that hybrid model where the book is just a business card. I want you to apply that to yourself.
Right.
If you stop looking at your primary skill, the book, the code, the cake, whatever it is you make as the product you're selling, and instead start looking at it as the marketing for something bigger, what would that something bigger be?
That is the million-dollar question. Are you selling the book, or are you selling the transformation that the book promises?
Exactly. And once you figure that out, you're not just a worker anymore. You're an entrepreneur.
And that is where sustainability begins.
A huge thank you to Ruth Taylor for this incredible research. It really is a game changer.
Absolutely. A fascinating read.
And thank you for diving deep with us today. We'll catch you on the next one.
Goodbye, everyone.
All right. Thank you for sticking with us. I hope that my co-hosts, you like them. But if you haven't tried Google Notebook LM, go there. It is becoming one of my #1 tools. When I want explainer videos from just content that I upload, if it's a PowerPoint, if it's a Word document, I put it in Google Notebook LM and it transforms it into a masterpiece. Whether an explainer video, slide deck, or an audio like you just heard, they are not sponsoring me, but trust me, Google Notebook LM, and they don't use, I think, your information for training. Google Notebook LM, I am a fan. It's making me look good with my visual aids when I'm presenting. So hats off to Google Notebook LM, and I would encourage you to try it. So this is Ruth Taylor reminding you of making many books, there is no end. So go pen it to win it and dominate authorpreneurship. Ta for now, until next time.